that might sound shocking, but I like to, create some earthquakes in my lectures. But when you put somebody else as your source of fulfillment, it's like idol worshiping, because you're so dependent at them. You need the respect from them. You need their appreciation. You need your values. Absolutely. We all need to understand if we're good in what we do, and obviously we need feedback from our surrounding. No question. We don't live on a desert island. We constantly interact with people. But if I don't hear the thank you, or I don't see that smile after all my effort, and it's totally devastating. It's really getting me. It's eating me. I think about it when I go back home, and it's disturbing. How come they don't appreciate me and everything I did, and that's what I get in return? Really? This is what I deserve? Where is that commitment? And I was there for them when they needed me, and this is what I get? The next day, we will still be on the search again. It will never be enough. Never. And you see people getting into jobs and leaving jobs, and changing careers, and changing business partners. Why? Because they simply don't get that fulfillment they're still looking for. But what they need to understand, that fulfillment, it's something that only us can create. We can never be dependent on others. We don't want to become this needy person, that constant need from his surrounding. That whole concept of neediness, it's something very, very important, because desire can be translated as a need. We all have a need to be loved, to be successful. But if you think about it, if you see a needy person going on a date with another needy person, what are they actually going to have then? A very needy date, And you say, what do you want to talk about when you are interacting with people? You want to talk about yourself, because you need to impress. You need to show how amazing you are, so you get, the appreciation back. But that whole relationship, and you can take it to work, you can take it to your personal life, any relationship. Who are we busy with? Only. And then, we can run this kind of relationship, if it's at work, if it's in our personal life, for years. And one day, we find ourselves alone. Where is it? Because if I handle a relationship, about me, my gratification, then there's no really relationship. And it's funny because, you can find so many different workshops, especially in the United States. There's a person named Carl, I forgot his last name, but he's running different workshops, and he writes his own book of how to understand other people's ego. But it's all about how presenting yourself to others. So he says if you're able to touch other people's ego, you're able to create a relationship. Meaning, you're basically meeting with someone, and you say, oh, what's your name, Chris? Oh, Chris I love the name Chris. It's an amazing name. What is this person going to feel in that second? I love this person. I don't even know him, but I love him. You feel. Why? Because you get all this, attention. So it's important that at least we acknowledge it, so we understand, again, how to upgrade. We're all here to upgrade. So just examples for ego fulfillment. We have the quick career success, which provide happiness. When there's competition, it causes insecurity. Insecurity, according to Kabbalah, is basically a result of filling the vessel in the wrong way, which is what I just described, when we basically put somebody else as our source of fulfillment, and it creates insecurity, it's coming from the wrong way. And it's not going to bring us that lasting fulfillment we're looking for. True self-esteem, according to Kabbalah, can come from a place where people are actually giving me the compliments. It has to come from a connection to that essence, to that light. And there's just a verse here that I wanted to share, and basically it explained that the light cannot live with that source of individual in the same place. Meaning, it says that the Creator have no problem to help or to provide help to any person, basically criminal, call it any negativity that a person could have. But there's one personality where the light cannot resonate, cannot, like attracts like. And when a person is only self-centered, it says that there's no space for that light to enter, to come into that person's life. It's like, there's a guest coming in, and you just open the door a little bit and you say, oh, I'm really busy right now. So the guest say, okay, I'll come later when you have some time. Same thing in our life. If we too much thinking and busy with ourselves, there is no space for more blessings, new ideas, new opportunities to come into our life. So, to make it more practical, Kabbalists speak about 4 different elements, or 4 different ways that ego manifests in our life. 4 different levels of energy, and 4 different levels of blockages, let's say. The first group, and this is correlates to the astrological zodiac signs, is the fire. Fire is Sagittarius, Leo, and Aries. Mostly Leo and Aries, when they enter to the room, they have to be the center of attention. It's very hard for them to listen to other people. It's very hard for them to receive any criticism because they always know right and they always know the best. It's very hard to give them gifts because they always feel they can get a better gift. It's that kind of nature, and it's good to know. It helps. The second group is the air group, which is Libra, Aquarius, and I always get stuck in joke. Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini. Any of you? Yes. Air, when we speak, there's air coming out. It's the power of words. Libra, for example, these are the people that constantly, think and calculate and evaluate. They can even see where the train is going to go to, but until they make a decision because of their calculations, they miss the train. Why? Because they always want to be perfect. It's very hard for them to think they're going to make a mistake. Very hard for them. So they're very, very, they prefer to keep things small, just not to bear with the fact that if they take a bigger responsibility, they will make a mistake. And again, who are they busy with? Themselves. They might lose many different opportunities just because they're consumed by their own ego. Next group is the water. Water, we have Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Any of you? Okay. Water are very, very emotional, just like the water. Extremely sensitive, very intuitive. But with that, because they're so sensitive and so emotional, comes a sense of being vulnerable. Very vulnerable, meaning they might feel more hurt than others. Because they're more sensitive, they're more open emotionally, their heart is wide open. And so they get hurt really easily. And the same way, the sense of water, it's not like fire and air that is always, blowing and up there. Water is, always streaming. So they have the intent, because they're so sensitive, to kind of become in a muddy state of mind, meaning a little bit more depressed. It's harder for them to overcome emotional, stress, but there is a way, of course, to transform it and to understand how to use it. The next group is the Earth, which is Taurus, Capricorn, and Virgo. Any of you? Okay. Earth is extremely solid. These are the people that, that take it slower, but they're serious manifestors, extremely responsible, very committed. When they start something, they absolutely end it, and they always thrive for perfection. But just like the Earth, they don't like changes. They cannot stand, spontaneous, too much spontaneous. They cannot, resonate with it. They have to really think about everything, and they take the time for it, and everything is much slower because they don't like that spontaneous, that quick changes. And this is where they get stuck. The reason why we understand about astrology and about each sign is to understand our gifts, but to also understand where does the ego kicks in. That ego that that causes us to see the picture in the wrong way. We have to understand that it brings us to the physical reality. And once we fall into that, for example, if you take the water signs, the Cancer and the Pisces, because they're so vulnerable, it can cause a lot of pain through their process. And then we have to put all our energy and time to heal from that pain. Whether they can use that sensitivity to truly touch other people and really use it at their work, instead of using it at the opposite. And the same for each one of us. Exercise. Okay? Are you up to it? Yes? Okay. So, where do you think your ego comes from? And you can choose one area of your life. Where does it come from? Is it wasting words? Is it the emotional ego? Is it all about me, like the fire one? Or is it more towards sadness, which frees you? You get detached from reality. You dwell into that sadness mode. Okay, we're going to go into 5 different extensions of our ego. I just wanted to, again, to clear, we have given like 1 hour for this lecture. And I have to say, it's like a drop in the sea to understand about Kabbalah. And that's why, if you see, for those of the people that really want to study Kabbalah, our Kabbalah 1 course is actually offered for free. And it's 8 weeks, because you really need at least 8 hours at least to have a feeling of, what is really Kabbalah and how can I really use it. So it's a little hard to really expose everything in 1 hour, so I'm really just giving you the taste. And of course, more than open for any questions even later. So let's see, 5 extensions of our ego. It's really, really interesting. The first one is anger. Okay, it comes out, but I'm not talking about the little things that upset us. I'm talking about rage, the massive, when we lose control. When does it really happen? It's important we understand. When we have expectations, and it's called, from the physical world, from reality, the person feels an entitlement. I'm entitled to receive that, to have that. How come they talk to me this way? And it even, how come they cut me on the road? When a car can cut us, the person can have a rage for that. Or I'm not being served as I should. It's coming from a sense of entitlement. The Zohar, which is the main book that basically contains all the knowledge of Kabbalah, explains that when you are angry, you're actually not really yourself. I'm talking again about rage, not the simple things. But what it says, Kabbalistically, when the person is really furious and really angry, what happens, it's so negative and it's so not as who we truly are, that it says that it's like the person is checking out and there's a negative entity, negative energy that come into that person's body. Because if you look at, and there are statistics, and I'm going to go extreme, people who ever committed murder, when they ever killed another person, you couldn't tell. If you look at that person's, child or anything, there wasn't anything that could give you the signs. And yet, all of a sudden, they come, they kill. What does it really come? That moment of rage, that they decide to do such a crazy thing, it's not coming, it cannot come from a human perspective. It must come from something much more negative. And it can come when the person falls into the rage. Because it's that ego consumed that there's, it's allowing so much more negativity to come in. It goes even to the extreme that the Zohar even explained that if somebody in front of you is completely in crisis and have a lot of anger, it's even better not to even look in their eyes, because it's contagious, that negativity. So we all should know it's not the best thing to do. Now, since we say, the point of learning about your ego is not to point fingers or to have any blame or, to judge others or to judge ourselves. We want to know how to transform that ego. So there is a positive side to anger. The positive aspect is when you actually use that massive energy to actually help others. Meaning, it's really getting you some sort of no justice at your company. You go ahead, but it's really getting you, like you really become upset from it. It's really, really, you get really angry from it. But there's a way of handling it. So instead of just judge or even leave or, just have some arguments and fights, you actually do something about it. So that's a good aspect of anger. Okay. Next one is the control. Control freaks. When the person have to have it, it's either my way or the highway. I know best, and at the end of the conversation, I have to be the one who's right. So it's when the person trying to manipulate the physical reality, which is the 1%, which the Kabbalah says it's an illusion, because now we understand it's based on our 5 senses and the limited way we're using our brain, and therefore, when the person is only, again, consumed with themselves, I have to be right, it's impossible for him to understand, the opportunity in front of him. And he's trying to take control, but it's still in his way. And it's most likely it happens when we don't feel comfortable. We have a conversation that we don't feel comfortable, somebody's criticizing us, something that happened out of our plan, and we're trying to take control. We have to understand that we can hold on, we're taking that control, it will allow us to go in a different direction, a new direction that is coming our way. The positive aspect of it, because the person is constantly in the details and trying to take control, there is a sense of that same person, if he's using that intensity, it can go really far. Because if he's using that intensity to always make it perfect, it can manifest a lot. He can do a lot, he can create a lot, because he's always in the details, always trying to make it perfect. It's amazing, because it's a very strong sense of manifesting, of accomplishing, which you always need. It just doesn't have to be always you. You can be part of it, doesn't mean it's always you. But it's very, very strong. I like to work with these kind of people because they are manifestors. And it's really amazing what they can do once they shift that sense. Funny picture. Next one is judgment. Judgment, I don't know if any of you is a Virgo, but if somebody is in the sign of Virgo, judgment, it's the people that can enter to a room and the first thing they see is like a really far picture that is not quite straight. It's a little bit on the side. And they can't focus on their conversation because that picture is, somebody needs to push it, They can't concentrate. Or you're talking to someone and you just can't stand, the way the shirt look like, and, it's too wrinkled. How can somebody leave the house like that? And you're not even interested, you can't even hear what the person telling you because, you're just caught in one little detail. The danger of judgment is, imagine standing in front of a beautiful field of flowers and you just caught in one flower, you're zooming your view on one thing. Can you see the whole field at the same time? If you're just zooming your view on one thing in that whole field, can you enjoy the view of the whole field in front of you? Impossible. The danger of judgment is that you're zooming and then you're missing everything else which is happening at the same time. We talk about evil eye. Evil eye is basically something that comes from envious and jealousy. We start to compare, how come he has and she has, and this is so amazing, and I wish I would. Again, we are focusing on entitlement, on something that we think we need, not necessarily really want. So according to the Zohar, when you control and break your ego and surrender to the light, surrender meaning understanding that, there's no need to judge right now. Maybe there's a purpose for what's happening right now. You can bring so much more light into the situation that is happening. And the positive aspect of it, if you're that detailed and it's so easy for you to judge, you can truly create changes. Because, to pay attention to details is a gift. We all know it in our work. It's very important. Most likely when mistakes happened, it's because you missed some details. It's not because we don't want. None of us is, into making mistakes. But mistakes do happen because we didn't pay attention to one thing. And this is this gift. So Being judgmental, it means you have an amazing gift of the details. You just need to learn how to not waste that energy into judging others or even judging ourselves, because we finish ourselves to pieces many times. We're too hard with ourselves, that's for sure. And using it to actually manifest it and actually using it. Get the lesson and move on. Don't get stuck in cutting yourself or others to small pieces. Pride. So, according to the zone, when you can control and break your ego, and okay, pride is, again, it's a source of entitlement. It's a source of, I feel I know it, and therefore, we're closing ourselves to anything else which is happening around us. Okay, hatred is basically the most difficult level. It's something that, for us, maybe it happens once in a lifetime. We are not people who normally hate, truly hate. But it's good to understand, hatred for no reason. When you truly look at others and you think, how come, they deserve it and not me? And it brings that feeling. It's important that we understand that we're basically in a denial. We're in a serious denial of the light in the other person and the light in my life. And it's leading the person to be in a victim mentality. That's when the person has the time to hate. If you have the time to look at other people or another person and feel you hating them, it's only because you have too much time to even feel it, and you're not as busy to be productive in your life, to understand why you're in this situation, why did it happen to you, what's the reason you had to go through that situation, that person pushed your buttons to that extent that you have the space and, let's say, the luxury to actually hate them. Again, one of the extensions of ego. So, let's try to make a small exercise, okay? And we would like to take control over it. So choose one of the 5 we just described and see where is the easiest for you to fall into. This will allow us to take control over it. One of it, for example, how to allow us to shift our ego is definitely being humble. Okay? Sometimes we think humility is maybe a weakness, but many times it's just, listen to others. Be open for others. For example, my teacher, Karen, she runs all the centers. We have more than 40 branches all over the world of the Kabbalah centers and hundreds of study groups all over the world. We have books in every language, and she runs everything. You'll hear her many times asking many different people, what do you think? What do you think we should do? Not because she can't make up her mind, but because she truly believes she can learn from anyone. I mean, if you even go to a homeless and you ask him a question, even if he's drunk, he's going to still give you a message, if you're open for it. It's not because I'm stupid and I'm not intelligent enough to understand or to take a decision, but it's because I understand everything here is a lesson, and there's no way, with my limited mind, I actually see the whole picture. So from that place of being open. Another tool is human dignity. Many times we lose it because we feel that the person in front of us, is less than me, less educated, I worked so hard and it's impossible, he got more advanced than me. We have these calculations and it causes us to judge, to rage. Human dignity, it means I'm not here to judge anyone. I don't know what's their life story, I don't know what they're supposed to have. Who am I to, did I come here to be the policeman of God? No. So who am I to understand their process? I can only be me and get the best out of it. It also helps us to detach from judgment and rage. I'm just going to end it with a small story, true story that happened in Manhattan, and very interesting about from one of our students. But it's a good lesson about using ego in business. And what happens is that the lady ran a huge garment company, similar to Macy's, if you're familiar. I don't know if you're familiar. Huge one, makes a lot of money, millions a year. And to make a long story short, one of her best salesmen, she discovered, was stealing from her. Literally stealing. So she needs to make up her mind. What do you think? Let's say they make 90 million and he steals 40 out of the 90. If you were that person, what would you do with this person? Fire him, confront him, pay him more? What do you do?
Probably first confront him and then fire him.
Okay, he's still the one that makes your maximum, let's not forget, he makes the maximum growth in the company. He's the best one and he makes a lot. He's the almost number one cause for the main source of income. What do you do?
Give him shares to the company.
Give him shares?
For the company.
Okay. That's a proactive way of looking at it, definitely. Okay, now, of course, it depends. Since we all came here not to become angelic, we came here to do some work, and we will be tested, and challenges simply coming our way, and it's up to us to make the best out of it. We should make lemonade out of lemons. So, she got very offended, because what came in her mind, all those years of working together, and I trust you, and I pay you amazing, and that's what I get back. So she got very offended. She met with her Kabbalah teacher, and he actually suggested, similarly to what you say, actually give him more, which sounds crazy. He's taking almost half, and give him more. And doesn't it make him like a monster in your own company? She was thinking a lot about it, and she decided, you know what, he doesn't belong here. I cannot stand the fact he's taking from me, and in that way and behind my back. She was very offended. And she decided to let him go. What do you think he did?
Made his own company?
Totally. And he brought all, half of the clients he brought to him. He became much, of course in a matter of time, became much more successful than her. And actually, her company was starting to lose more and more. So, the question is, many times, we have amazing business skills. We're very educated. We know around amazingly. But when the time comes and we will be challenged, it will be a challenge. What's a challenge? Something which is against my nature. The only question is, if I allow my ego to come in, or I grab this opportunity and get the best out of it. If we're going to listen to our ego, all those different categories, we're missing the opportunity. She missed the opportunity, and that's why her company went down. It's not punishment. It's not that she's not a good person, and you have to be spiritual, so you have to bear with people, even if they're stealing from you. That doesn't make you spiritual. Spiritual is only if you go through the heat, if you become that diamond from that piece of coal. And for her, that was the heat. And we all have those opportunities. So to answer the question, is ego good for business? Amazingly good. But we have to know how to shift it, how to transform it in order to get those diamonds. Then, I hope you enjoyed. Take care. Have a great day.